Have you ever felt that, even in a moment of pleasure, something seems to hold you back, as if there were invisible barriers preventing you from giving yourself completely? Many women experience this, facing fears, insecurities, and expectations that gradually undermine the sexual experience. But what if these barriers could be identified and overcome? Today, we're going to explore the main difficulties that get in the way of a woman's intimate life and how they can be overcome, because at the end of the day, pleasure is everyone's right. Understanding what prevents you from achieving it is the first step toward transformation. Are you ready to find out what's really blocking you? Then let's get started. Self-knowledge and acceptance of the body. Self-knowledge is fundamental for women to feel comfortable in their own skin. When a woman learns to recognize and accept her body, she opens the door to a new understanding of pleasure. This means looking at herself with affection, seeing beyond the imperfections that are often overlooked by others. This acceptance can be a real turning point in your sex life. When a woman feels good about herself, she becomes more open to experiences of pleasure. Self-image is a crucial factor that can influence the way a woman relates to sexuality. Often, insecurities and internal criticism can create barriers that make it difficult to indulge in pleasure. A woman's critical view of her body can generate a feeling of inadequacy, which directly interferes with her willingness to experience moments of intimacy. It is essential that she learns to cultivate a positive view of herself, which allows pleasure to flow naturally. In addition, the relationship with one's own body is an aspect that can be worked on throughout life. Self-esteem exercises, personal care, and practices that promote connection with the body, such as dance or yoga, can be very beneficial. These activities help women reconnect with their sensations and realize that pleasure is a natural and healthy part of life. Self-knowledge, therefore, is not a destination but an ongoing journey. Body acceptance often also involves a process of deconstructing the standards imposed by society. Many women feel pressured to fit into unrealistic beauty standards, which can lead to an unnecessary internal struggle. By challenging them, a woman begins to see her body as an ally rather than an enemy. This change in perspective is vital for the experience of pleasure, as it allows her to feel freer and more confident. Finally, body acceptance and self-knowledge bring a sense of empowerment. This new way of seeing and feeling can radically transform a woman's sex life. With renewed confidence, she becomes more open to exploring her sexuality and communicating her desires and limits more clearly. This attitude not only enriches her intimate life but also promotes healthier and more satisfying relationships. How anxiety and stress sabotage pleasure. Modern life is full of pressures and challenges that can generate anxiety and stress. For many women, these daily worries become a factor that undermines libido and the sexual experience. When the mind is overloaded with professional, family, or financial worries, it is difficult to relax and indulge in pleasure. This connection between anxiety and sex life is a topic that deserves attention. The pressure to play multiple roles and succeed in different areas of life can be exhausting. This often leads to a constant feeling of dissatisfaction and emotional overload, which can reflect negatively on intimate life. When a woman is anxious, her body can respond with tension, making the sexual experience less pleasurable and even uncomfortable. In addition, anxiety can create a vicious cycle in which worrying about sexual performance generates even more stress. This worry can make women avoid intimacy, which in turn can intensify the feeling of disconnection and dissatisfaction. It's a cycle that feeds back on itself and can be difficult to break without the right intervention. To deal with anxiety and stress, it's important for women to seek out self-care strategies. Practices such as meditation, physical exercise, and hobbies that bring pleasure can be effective in relieving the pressure of everyday life. These activities help to create a calmer mental space, allowing women to feel more relaxed and open to pleasure. Communication with a partner also plays a vital role. Talking about worries and insecurities can lighten the emotional load and help create a safe and welcoming environment. When both partners feel comfortable sharing their feelings, intimacy becomes more authentic and satisfying, contributing to a more fulfilling sex life. It is difficult for some to accept their bodies, which can interfere with their ability to let go and experience pleasure. The healing process involves not only seeking support but also doing deep work on self-compassion and acceptance. Recognizing and validating the emotions that arise from these experiences is an important step on the journey to recovery. This can include practicing self-care and mindfulness techniques, which help women reconnect with their bodies in a positive and safe way. With time and the right support, it is possible to regain the ability to feel pleasure and enjoy intimacy. Finally, raising awareness about the impact of trauma on sexual life is fundamental. By sharing your stories and listening to those of other women, you can create a space of empathy and understanding. This exchange can be a powerful catalyst for healing, allowing women to feel more supported and less isolated in their experiences. The importance of open communication and intimacy. A lack of communication between partners can be a real obstacle in sex life. Often, people are afraid to express what they really want or need, either for fear of hurting the other or because they are insecure about what their partner might think. This lack of dialogue can lead to misunderstandings and the formation of expectations that don't correspond to reality. Over time, this can lead to sexual disconnection that affects the couple's intimacy. When partners don't talk openly about their preferences, it's common for one of them to feel frustrated. Imagine a scenario in which one partner wants to try something new but doesn't feel comfortable sharing it. This lack of communication can result in monotonous and unsatisfying sexual relations where both partners become unhappy. Pleasure becomes a distant expectation, something that seems increasingly difficult to achieve. Talking about desires, limits, and fantasies may seem challenging, but it is essential for a healthy relationship. Open communication not only helps align expectations but also strengthens the emotional connection between partners. When both feel safe to share what they think and feel, intimacy grows and pleasure tends to be more easily achieved. Additionally, communication can help identify and resolve problems before they become major barriers. Often, a simple "can we talk about this" can open the door to discussions that improve the couple's sex life. It is this exchange that creates a safe space where everyone feels free to explore their needs without fear of judgment. Therefore, investing time and energy in communication is a fundamental step. It's not just about talking about sex, but about building mutual understanding and trust that will benefit all areas of the relationship. In this way, a lack of communication, which may seem like a small stone in the road, becomes a great ally for pleasure. How relationship conflicts affect intimacy. Relationship problems are more common than you might think. Often, small disagreements accumulate, creating a tense atmosphere between partners. When communication doesn't flow, it's easy for feelings of frustration and hurt to set in. This can end up affecting intimacy, which is fundamental to a healthy sex life. Pleasure, which should be a light and fun part of the relationship, can become a battlefield where resentments and discontent overlap. In addition, a lack of conflict resolution can lead to emotional disconnection. When one or both partners feel that they are not listened to or understood, the desire to get physically close diminishes. Sexual desire is often linked to emotional desire. If one side feels neglected, pleasure can become a distant memory. What could be a moment of intimacy instead becomes a reminder of unresolved differences. It's important to remember that all relationships go through ups and downs. Dialogue is a powerful tool for overcoming these difficult moments. Talking openly about what's bothering you can help create a space of trust and understanding. When partners feel safe to express their concerns, they are more likely to find solutions that work for both of them, rekindling passion and connection. Another issue to consider is how routine can influence the dynamics of the relationship. The monotony of everyday life can lead to stagnation, making partners feel disconnected. It's essential to look for ways to innovate and keep the relationship fresh, whether through new experiences or simply stepping out of the comfort zone. This can not only improve communication but also bring back pleasure and intimacy. Finally, seeking outside help, such as couples therapy, can be a great step toward restoring the connection. Sometimes, the help of a professional can offer new perspectives and tools for dealing with conflicts. The aim is always to strengthen the relationship, allowing pleasure and intimacy to take pride of place once again. The importance of sex education for pleasure. A lack of sex education is one of the biggest challenges many people face. Often, what is known about sexuality comes from unreliable sources, such as friends or the media, which can propagate myths and misinformation. This knowledge gap can lead to insecurities and misunderstandings about one's own body and pleasure. When you don't have the right information, it's easy to feel lost and confused, which can interfere with your ability to enjoy intimate moments. In addition, a lack of sex education can lead to unrealistic expectations about what should happen in a sexual relationship. Without proper understanding, people may think that sexuality should follow a specific script. when in fact everyone has their own preferences and rhythms. This can lead to unnecessary pressure, where pleasure becomes an obligation rather than a pleasurable experience. Proper sex education should include not only biological aspects but also emotional and social ones. Talking about consent, limits, and respect is fundamental for everyone to feel safe and at ease. When you have a solid foundation of knowledge, it's easier to explore and understand what really brings pleasure. This can transform the sexual experience into something much more rewarding and satisfying. Another important point is the diversity of sexual experiences. Sex education should address different orientations and preferences, helping to normalize the conversation about what can be considered normal. This helps to combat stigma and shame, allowing people to feel more comfortable with their own preferences. Ultimately, educating yourself about sexuality is a form of empowerment. Finally, promoting sex education in schools and at home is essential to creating a more informed and confident generation. Open and honest conversations about sexuality can help demystify taboos and promote an environment where pleasure is seen as something natural and healthy. In this way, people will be better prepared to enjoy their sex lives in a full and satisfying way. Breaking the cycle of negative conditioning and pleasure. The cycle of negative conditioning can be a real obstacle in a person's sex life. Past experiences, especially negative ones, can stick in the mind and affect how you experience the present. Often, a single bad experience can lead to anxiety or insecurity, which is repeated in new situations. This creates a vicious cycle, where fear and insecurity reduce the willingness to enjoy intimacy. When a person is trapped in this cycle, they may develop an aversion to intimacy. What should be a moment of pleasure becomes a source of stress and discomfort. Each new sexual experience is filtered through the lens of the past, making it difficult to enjoy the present. This connection between past and current experiences can be quite complex and often goes unnoticed. The good news is that it is possible to break this cycle. Self-understanding and reflection on past experiences can be the first step. Understanding how these experiences have shaped your reactions and feelings is fundamental to overcoming these obstacles. Working on your self-confidence and learning to love yourself as you are can help reverse this negative conditioning. Therapy can also be a valuable tool in this process. Trained professionals can help you explore these experiences and find ways to reframe them. Often, talking about what happened and receiving support can be liberating, allowing the person to reconnect with their sexuality in a healthier and more positive way. Finally, cultivating a mindset of self-compassion is essential. Realizing that everyone has their struggles and that pleasure can be a path of discovery and growth can help ease insecurities. Each new sexual experience is an opportunity to learn and connect with your partner in a deeper way, breaking the cycle of negative conditioning and allowing pleasure to become a natural part of life. Now that we've explored some of the main barriers that can prevent you from living your sexuality to the fullest, it's time to reflect. Which of these issues do you feel impact your life the most? Remember, the first step to transforming your relationship with pleasure is self-knowledge. Every little discovery about yourself can open doors to a new way of living your intimacy with more freedom and connection. How about starting today? Perhaps with an honest conversation with your partner or even with yourself. The important thing is to move forward with empathy and curiosity. And if this has helped you in any way, share your experiences. Remember, you're not alone on this journey.